time for me to repair my weapons. Because I'm afraid going through the woods again, I'm going to have that problems. Because it's unusable. Or no, I take that back. I think it's still usable, but the damage output is so atrociously bad that it's basically not even worth. I mean, even when it's like, it's like it's before it goes at risk. You have that problem. So. You might as well. Hey, Wandering, how are you? So, I hope you are doing well. Welcome to Lord de Jour. With me today is my good friend Tocho. Tocho, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell a little bit about yourself. That's okay. And nonsense. We, Tocho and I, have been talking pretty extensively about. Oh, she can't hear you. Okay. I can hear you just fine. Wondering, let me know when you can hear him. I'm gonna pull up the stream myself. This is a good time to have this problem, though. Let me pull mine up as well. We getting it? Yeah, I'm running the stream and I cannot hear you. Let me go back into the party settings, kick you out, and try to put you back in. Be right back. And you'll need to exit out yourself. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Lord de Jour. I am currently working to get Tocho on the line here. We've actually stumbled across a anomaly. It's a very rare occurrence. Normally, I like to do some hunting beforehand. However, this is just a unique opportunity that I can't pass up, so I'm going to be in the hunter stream for a little while to start off the stream. So, bear with me, hang in there. We're going to be trying to get our buddy Tocho in here in a few minutes. So, let me double check that I invited him, so hang on just another minute. Hello? Let me see.
There was a setting on my end, allow your voice to be shared. I've turned that on.
There you are.
Okay.
Aha! That's right, I forgot about broadcast settings. That is actually a way too common problem amongst our groups that we forget broadcast settings and making sure that everything can share. So, All right, all right. Like I said, good problem to have before we start stream. This is why I always like to plan way in advance for these kind of reasons. So, again, welcome, Tocho. Um, and yeah, don't ever call yourself an amateur lore hunter because we've been on Twitter this entire time, especially after, and we'll go into these. Oh my gosh, if I could show y'all the transcripts between me and him.
Well, I mean, no one's paid me for this yet, so.
Oh, don't worry, nobody's paying me either. So just to kind of get a quick recap of where we are in the game presently, I first and foremost want to mention that we're going to get the transcripts and put them up on YouTube. So if you're behind, this is a good time to catch up. We'll be talking more and more about lore as we go along. So don't worry about that. We'll make sure we do it. But at the same time, since we've got a couple minutes, I'm like starting from the beginning. Um, First and foremost, Bloodborne is about that. It's just about blood. Blood of the old gods. And this is, within this particular game, there is these tombs that are near a college, and they are called the Tomb of the Old Gods. The Tomb of the Old Gods was host to an amazing discovery by some people at the college called Byrgenwerth. And these scholars found what is called a Great One, which is a being of another plane of existence that is, I'll just say, far smarter than us, far superior than us. And the reality of it is that the people of Byrgenwerth decided, hey, let's try to become one of these Great Ones. And in the process of doing that, they discovered that, hey, we can extract blood from this thing. And I'm guessing they used it for experiments and so forth, and decided that this blood is got some pretty cool effects to it, as in it can cure diseases. And so the reality of the situation was there were a couple scholars that said, hey, this blood thing is working out pretty well. Well, the provost of Byrgenwerth said, okay, this blood's pretty cool, but you might want to be careful of it because ultimately it's pretty bad and it's probably not what you think. And ultimately, his pupil, Lawrence, who we've met through the Healing Church, basically said, I think it's going to be fine. So they went to a city called Yharnam and performed blood administration and transfusion amongst the people of Yharnam. And ultimately what happened was there was this huge side effect that people weren't anticipating. And that side effect was pretty simple. It was turning people into beasts. So, yeah, that's a problem. And so Yharnam became infested with beasts. And you would think that this would deter the Lawrence and his organization that he established, which is known as the Healing Church. That would deter him from doing it. Nope, he's like, why not just keep doing this? We're going to keep going. And so he formed 3 branches of the Healing Church, 2 of which we've covered over. One is the Hunters, because of all these beasts that are occurring, they want to make sure that they don't come back or people don't turn into beasts. So they hire hunters to take them out. Other than that, you will have the School of Mensis, which their idea was, let's just create a Great One. I'm oversimplifying it right now, but that's okay. We're going to get into Mensis quite a lot in this episode. And other than that, we're going to be talking quite a little bit about the choir as well today. But right now, we're in a different plane of existence. This is going to be kind of weird. This very H.P. Lovecraft. We're in this plane of existence where we are in a dream that is set up by the gentleman that is in the dream and asleep right now. So we're going to go talk to him and hopefully hear a rare piece of dialogue. Let's find out if this works.
Oh, Lawrence, what's taking you so long?
Tocho, it's working! Oh my god!
I'm too old for this. Of little use now, I'm afraid.
Can I talk to him?
Oh, Lawrence, what's taking you so long?
Oh, is it just the same one?
I've grown too old for this.
Maybe it has to cycle through something.
Now, I'm afraid. Oh,
Oh, darn it. So, we've mentioned before in this story that Gehrman is trapped in this dream, and it's becoming more clear as you talk to him that he really doesn't want to be there. And so he is getting into desperation mode. What I'm assuming is just because he's been in there for a very long time. Alright, I'm going to stop into Cathedral Ward here for a minute. We're going to visit some people. Oh, I can hear my feedback on my computer. Sorry.
Hey, you're doing great. I'm trying to find something in my notes that's going to become relevant soon. And
Oh, that's
I'm starting
all right.
to think it might be a fever dream, because I can't find it.
We're gonna take the long way to get to. What's up, Outrider? We're gonna take the long way to get to the Forbidden Woods. But first, we're gonna talk to some NPCs. Let's talk to Mr. McGrabby Hands, as our community has so lovingly called him.
There ain't no more survivors. There can't be. Yarnum's done for.
Now, I think, if memory serves correctly, if you talk to Mr. McGrabby Hands, and you have actually rescued everybody, he thanks you profusely. But we've sent a few people to the clinic, so not everybody is here. By the way, our messengers all have top hats because I like them to have top hats. That was me goofing around in my farming run. You can actually adorn them in various hats and so forth. What's up, Geeks Like Us? Or Space Cowboy, I should say. Alright.
Oh, hello. Sorry, dear. You're much too eager. I've only so much.
Oh, I realize I haven't used her blood in a while. So, she's gonna think I'm too eager. It's been a week!
Give it a rest, please. No time for your petty lies. But what? Just go away now. I can't stand the stench of your lying breath.
Man, I love these Yarnamites. They're so nice. So nice. Now, actually, this is kind of interesting. You can actually talk to the old lady. And if y'all remember from previous episodes, she's been really mean to me. Now she's gotten into a little bit of hysterics.
Welcome home, dear. What's wrong? Anything you'd like to tell me?
Oh, I forgot about this. So, I can share my woes to the old lady, or I cannot. What do y'all think I should do? I'm going to leave this to the chat here. And, Tocho, if you'd like to chime in, please feel free.
I'm going to let this play out, see what happens.
Okay.
Because I have something to say if they choose right.
Share woes, or say nothing at all? I have to feel I have to feel that I'm within a room of psychologists, and they're like, of course, share your woes. Alright, so we're gonna share our woes.
This will help you forget.
Hey, Slow Daddy-O.
Forget your troubles. Forget your cares.
Let's see if they give me anything. Oh, wow, I get sedatives. That's nice. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna hold off on what I think I remember happening. Yeah. We're gonna keep going. So I am headed to the Forbidden Woods. we are going to talk a little bit about. We're going to talk a little bit about these woods, talk a little bit about the area, talk a little bit about the lore that created it. This is by far, in my opinion, the grossest episode of Lore de Jour, in my opinion, when it comes to some of the things that we'll be talking about. I don't know, Tocho, I don't know if you agree with that, but upon reading some of this stuff, I was like, oh, great, this is wonderful.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they only get worse, so...
That's fair. Sedatives to help with the upcoming dread of dying in your future. Which, by the way, I'm glad through our Twitter poll that some people have faith in me to not dying too much. I actually want to check that real quick to see where I am in terms of how everybody thinks I'm going to do tonight.
Where did we leave off?
So we're at 7. Which comparatively with other streamers I've been seeing recently, oh, okay. Tocho, if you want to introduce yourself while I'm looking that up, please. Again, because we couldn't hear you the first time.
I'm Tocho of Tocho Plays, Tocho Prince on Twitter. Just here to help out with some environmental clues, some little lore tidbits, maybe some contradicting theories between the two of us. Just see where it goes.
There will be that for sure. And I will mention, make sure to check out his YouTube. He does a lot on World of Warcraft. We'll make sure to put his link up on Geeks Like Us. He's been doing some cool stuff on World of Warcraft. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it, even though I know nothing about World of Warcraft.
Well, so, obviously, I mean, you keep calling it World of Warcraft. It's Warcraft 3. It's 2 different games.
Okay, so there's the first point. Sorry. So let's talk about these woods, and first we meet our first spooky friend here, who's already dead. That we've said the adage, "Fear the old blood," and he acts as one of the how do you pronounce it? Madaris brothers.
Madaras. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either. The
Apparently it's a
Madaris
Norwegian
brothers.
term, but it's also Japanese. I'm not sure.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that. That's okay. No. Feel free to speak up whenever about whatever. What can I say? I'm from the South. Hey! You watch it. Wait, you're from North Carolina anyway, or maybe not from, but you live in Charlotte. Sorry. Anyway, so the Madaris brothers are 2 brothers that exist here. No, not the Mario brothers. They might as well be. They apparently don't get along, and it's probably the aftermath of the Mario brothers hanging out too much. And that is because the older of the 2 brothers is... Let's see, is it the younger brother? The younger brother is killed by the older brother, and that is to be assumed that the person standing at the gate is the younger brother in this case. I'm going to see
that might be the other way around.
Is it the other way around? I always get that mixed up.
I think the older one's dead.
Okay.
Because the younger one you get to summon.
We're going to try to do that. I have done a little bit of farming through the... you're not supposed to open this gate right now, but I want to meet up with a friend right here and talk with him about what we're going to be managing through the woods here. So let's talk to our good friend Voltaire.
Ah, a new face, are you? And an accomplished hunter, it will appear.
Don't sell me too high.
I am Volta, master.
Oh, it's Voltaire.
Members of the
That's too much like my nickname.
Streets of all that filth that spread about during the hunt. Like any half-decent hunter ought to, you know? Have you seen enough of these wretched beasts? Freakish slugs and mad doctors. Sentence these fiends to death with the help of your league confederates.
I can only get glimpses of South Park when I listen to Voltaire talk. Join the Confederacy! Have you ever watched that episode?
Well should.
But I am going to join because I want to see if I can.
Symbol of the League. Unite.
Oh, I think I need to equip it. Don't I need to equip it?
And is permeated by the
Yes, to get the vermin.
Alright. Well, I want to get some vermin, so I'm going to scoot back to the lamp real quick.
heart's content. Hunt in cooperation with your fellows. Your League confederate.
Oh, Tocho!
Ah,
Quarantine approved?
quarantine approved.
Quarantine approved.
Is he wearing
Well,
gloves?
let's check. It... No.
Looks like it.
Does it?
Is he?
I can't tell.
I think I see a cuff or like a bracelet or something. I'm not sure.
Outrider knows where I'm coming from. More stops for everybody in the Confederacy. Yeah, I'm gonna get up with this rune only because I think it will be very important when it comes to hunting some vermin, and there's plenty of it around this case. So we're equipping a couple of Carol runes who we may or may not have met last run. I don't think it was Carol, but I could be wrong. Let's go back to the Forbidden Woods. This is we've moved past. Well, excuse me, Potter's not here right now. So I would say we've moved past biscuits and cornbread, and now we're moving into schmore schnapps. Of course, I've already gotten the blood drunk eyeball, so you know I'm already drunk on something. All right. So first, take a look at the Forbidden Woods, and I always like to make a little bit of a reference that the gentleman that is carrying this axe here that is going to try to kill me is wearing garb that very much looks like Henrique, which is pretty convenient around here because Henrique, as we are soon to find out, is a Confederate. So our friend Henrique that lived an abnormally long life and sided with Gascoigne wears a very noticeable yellow clothing and armor, if you can call it that. I will also make note without killing myself. Let's hope that doesn't happen. The people in this
Sorry, I'm
area
working
are...
on like a 3-second delay here.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say before you go too much farther, the bridge on the sides of it, they have like scarecrows and top hats propped up on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure do.
Which yeah, that'll work into a talking point we had about later.
Oh, cool. Thank you. See, this is the kind of stuff I miss, so I'm glad you're with me, Tocho. Alright, so, you know, anytime you go through the Forbidden Woods, if you're going through your first Bloodborne playthrough, you might note that there's not a lot going on here, aside from this winding, long, hey, Tomato Biscuit.
Hey, Mato.
You've got this winding, long area of specific places that you're likely to miss a lot of stuff here. And honestly, through all my playthroughs, I have just completely gone through this and said, this isn't really lore significant. Which we'll see throughout this particular run-through, especially in the Forbidden Woods, that there's actually quite a bit that's going on here. Specifically there are obviously hunters that we've seen here in terms of Yarnamites that are recruited into hunters. But moreover, one of the things that we have to realize is that this place is a little bit affected. It is affected a little differently than some other places in Yarnum, and that's because we are dealing with what Volter talked about, which is vermin. Dougie, you want to go into a little bit of what vermin is?
Vermin is... Hold on, I've got notes on that somewhere. I believe they're referred to as like the source of all corruption or impurities within men. They're little centipede-like creatures, usually found in refuse and decayed corpses.
Ugh. Yeah, it's pretty gross. And where we find a lot of vermin, and one of the reasons why it's discussed here is partly, I don't know if it's caused by, or at least it's talked about the Matterus brothers, because it is mentioned throughout the lore that although they might have been vermin hunters, they are one of the reasons that it spread so much. Because the Matterus brothers were actually raised by a giant serpent. And a venomous serpent. Yeah, we're going to get into some better sound effects here, Slow Daddy. I'll guarantee you this. But anyway, the vermin in this case, God, I don't know how to say this like without a straight face because it's so gross. It is said that the Matterus brothers, anytime they made a kill, they would feed the entrails of the dead bodies to this snake, thus creating more vermin throughout the Forbidden Forest. So that's lovely, right? I am going to talk to this particular house right here. This is a really important house,
Would you stop there?
I think.
Every sleepy night bring that bad luck.
This may not be the one.
I haven't had enough already. Please. Especially a poor old woman. Please.
No, not the same house. I will mention, as we've talked about before, that a lot of these Yarnamites do not trust you in any stretch of the imagination. They think... Go ahead.
Is it possible to use your monocle on that room you were just at real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Because I do think she's in there. We can get a look at her.
I get like a suspicion that we're peeping here.
It's probably fine. She's supposed to be here.
I feel...
She should be just right under that large crate. There she is.
Oh, you see her?
You see the back of her robe down at the gap in the window where you're talking to her?
Okay.
To your left. So you can see like the back of her dress there.
Uh-huh.
And then if you can like poke down a little bit, you'll see like the top of her head.
Oh, I see. Okay. So she looks like she's wearing some white attire.
Okay, well they seem intent to hide this from us, so maybe it triggers later. But her identity is actually a little bit interesting.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you can see her.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So what's her story?
Oh, it's not so much a story, but if you get a good look at her, she is one of the Ashen Beasts from Old Yarnum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's just hiding out, I'm assuming, hoping not to get caught, is why she kind of shoos you away.
That's another thing. Through certain areas in this game, you'll notice that a lot of the people are deathly afraid to be caught, because as we've mentioned in previous episodes, that it's not so much if you are a beast, I mean it is, but it's also if you are potentially becoming a beast. If you're starting to become a beast, then you are also a target for the hunters of the Healing Church. Well, there's Beast Roar. Alright, so there's actually a couple items, provided I am safe here. Usually a bad idea to assume that, but let's go anyway. Beast Roar, which I'm trying to think of where that is in my items.
It should just be on your main page at the
Main
bottom.
page. Okay. There it is. Forbidden Hunter's Tools, Irreverent Izzy, Bar the Strength that is a terrible undead dark beast, which makes sense of why that's here now that I'm kind of putting the pieces together. Only for a moment to blast the surrounding foes back with the force of a roaring beast, which actually, oddly enough, deflects bullets. The indescribable sound of a broadcast caster's own vocal cords, which begs the question, what terrible things lurk deep within the frames of men? Which we're going to have an answer to that question, oddly enough, fairly soon. if we should decide to explore that route. Now, in one of these houses is the tonsil zone. This actually takes on a very significant part. Deformed rock, or perhaps a meteorite, appears useless, but possesses some gravitational force that prevents its riddance. A dubious soul once said, who is the person in one of the houses here in the Forbidden Woods, step lightly around the right of the great cathedral, and you will see an ancient shrouded church. The gift of a godhead will grant you the strength. And that is a very significant moment of some of the H.P. Lovecraft components of this game, and it will probably be what we will be talking about at the end of this stream. So I'm going to take on a few of the more, I'm calling them Henrique Hunters, because they're all wearing yellow. I think that can't be coincidence. It's probably coincidence. Miyazaki was probably just like...
I wonder if they're resistant to bolt.
What's that?
I wonder if they're resistant to bolt, because that's his bonus.
We can find out. I've got a Tonitrus. Oh, gosh. Might not want to do that while I'm... no, they are not resistant to bolt.
Okay. For science.
For science? Now, again... We started to notice that the Yarnamites, especially around here, are actually good at laying traps by evidence of the rolling log around here and by evidence about this oily water, which, if you are a new player to this game, chances are you are going to die to this oily water more than once if you're not ready for it. I know I have. Many times. Oh, man, he's not going to attack. I'm just going to go after him. Yes, a common thing within this game, Slow Daddy-O, is that the enemies, especially Yarnamites, are very akin to throwing Molotov cocktails at you. And oil urns, which are just a way to enhance the Molotov cocktails, obviously. So we're getting into some of my favorite lore within this place in particular. And also the first moment, everybody, where I rage quit in this game. I'm going to see if I can get it with the monocle. If you'll see very far ahead here, there is a cannon. It is live and it is dangerous, and if you are not prepared enough, it will one-shot you in a heartbeat. So luckily, I know a shortcut that's very easily missed if you're not akin to rolling into things, that you can skip a little bit of it, but then the rest of it, you just kind of have to run through it and hope you don't get hit. Which, getting shot, stopping me in my tracks is never a good sign. Alright. I think it's a good time. Let's run. Hope he didn't fire. He did, but that's okay. What's up, Tan Man? How you doing? Can you rage join? It does allow for co-op in this game. I usually don't like it in the nightmare areas because you get invaded like every other second. Cannon, fully operational. Although it shoots like 5 feet. Alright, we're going into this cabin. Into the woods here.
Sorry, I just saw the cannon go off.
Oh, okay. So you'll notice, I'm going to do this for the stream. You'll notice that there's just a random Yarnamite coming around until... By the way, if you're afraid of snakes, I got a trigger warning for y'all. Because the latter half of this place is all snakes. And this is where you can get your death counters ready to go. Yeah, Slow Daddy-O, this is probably... I think this is scarier than a lot of, blatant horror games, honestly. I don't know how you feel about that, Tocho. Like, there's some places that legitimately give me the creeps.
I don't have a lot of experience with horror games. I like watching them, but as far as play... Okay, so for a frame of reference, we're all familiar with Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
Oh, yeah.
I have owned that game since 2011. My Steam library only shows 2 hours of playtime, and none of them are me.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Should I be
get other
worried
people
about
to
that?
play the game.
Oh, okay. Like, I was just hoping that there wasn't somebody in your home randomly playing Amnesia.
Possible, but
His face escalated quickly. Nice. Alright. So, one of my favorite weapons, although I don't use it that often, not the poison knife, although I do like the poison. I'm gonna drop down and get that in a minute. There is evidence that suggests that within the Forbidden Forest that our friends, the powder keg hunters, are very present here. In fact, Voltaire is a powder keg hunter, as we later find out if you decide to play through the rest of the game, which we will see Voltaire later on. Alright, so now we're going to come across, and Tocho, you don't even need to see who I'm talking about to know what's going on here. We are seeing a person that, well, it looks like he has been eating people. And as the game calls him, the suspicious beggar. And we're going to talk to him.
Well, blimey, don't scare me like that. On a night like this, I took you for a monster. Oh, thank the stars, you're fairly normal. Was it you who put down that awful beast? Ooh, that thing had me trembling, frozen in my boots. And then you came along. Well, if you're a hunter, then would you know of any safe havens?
Alright, everybody. Where are we sending the suspicious beggar? And Tocho, you are more than willing, or you can chime in on this if you would like to. Where do we want to send him?
well, if we go the one way, more interesting stuff happens. But also,
So Outrider. Oh man. Okay, well, you got one vote for neither Odin, Usefkas, or withholding information. I hate y'all so much.
Oh yeah, of course not.
Of course not. I'm not going to let him know that.
The whole place is falling apart once again.
Y'all
The curse of
just
Yarn.
clearly hate me. Here we go.
Have you got screwdriver's? Or is it your...
well, I mean, you don't have to, but okay.
I am at the mercy of the chat here. And I'm going to see if this strat works. Oh, he's blocking the door! And I just fell.
Oh, you're.
I'm...
What? How?
Oh. Oh. Death counter.
Um.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know I could do that.
You ever lose so hard you break physics?
That is losing so hard I broke physics, and that is death count number 8. Right? Yeah. Okay, so the suspicious beggar is actually a beast, as we find out. And I just broke the game. And here's a fun lore fact. I'm not going to fight him again. I'm just going to leave him be. Now, you have the option to either fight him, which is what I reluctantly did and died, or you can actually take him to the Cathedral Ward, and what he'll ultimately do is eat everybody there. Which apparently Tocho is either surprised by or is getting some weird vibes out of this.
No, I know what happens. It's just I'm very grateful we're not able to send the little girl to the Cathedral World.
Yes, fully agree on that.
So if I guess if you're just going to leave him there, I think we're done with him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing to go in line with him... Oh, no, please go ahead.
Okay,
Sound like you were going to say
so
something interesting.
we're familiar with the cleric beasts, and we're familiar with the werewolves. The werewolves seem to be what the Yharnamites themselves are turning into. Cleric beasts are, of course, actual clerics are turning into those kinds of beasts. The suspicious beggar seems to be what we only know as a dark beast, but judging by his facial structure and the presence of lightning on him, which struck me as odd whenever we were fighting Dark Beast Parl. He seems to actually have some form of actual intelligence left. He actually sees you as a threat and as a lethal threat. He will start cowering from you when you start hitting him.
Dark Peas Parl will?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure what the exact distinction is between the Dark Beast and the regular Beast, but it's definitely there. I think the only other Dark Beasts we see in the game are the Chalice dungeons, but I don't think we're going to get into those too much, are we?
No, I think, if memory serves correctly, the only time that we see it's the Loran Silver Beast, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
We see them only in Ailing Chalice in Loran, and I just am not down for that.
Yeah.
I'm just
But
not.
the Dark Beasts seem to retain more intelligence than their other counterparts.
Now, is it... I mentioned a theory last video, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. I mentioned that really the only electricity that exists is... What's up, Aloha Meg? Is that in Loran, as well as Yarhar Ghul, and the Unseen... That's the only places that you see these... you see lightning at all. And I have a suspicion that they are connected in some way.
Most likely. You mentioned in your theory that it involves a like a link to the lore, and someone's researching, and then likely ended up a School of Mensa scholar.
It's mentioned through a couple of... I mean, these are... Let's be honest, these are Reddit posts that I'm going through, but you can find a lot of interesting stuff in Reddit. But the post that I was reading was saying that the ancient race known as the Tumerians, who are the at least the closest to the Great Ones that we know about, and that reside in the Tomb of the Old Gods, or the Chalice dungeons, they had an ancient civilization called Loran, and they had a lot of procurement towards lightning, and I think that's where all this comes from. Like, they were still, maybe not necessarily living too much, but to the point where they were able to talk to some scholars from Yarhar Ghul and Mensis. Oh, there's an executioner here.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, that guy. I swear, they're like 10 times more aggressive on stream. What did you say, Slow Daddy-O? That you got a banned comment?
Okay. Now that you've kind of cleared through this area, I'd like to draw your attention to these little like headstones that are lining the trees over here.
Oh yeah, these big headstones.
You got the big ones, yeah, and then like the small ones look more like rocks.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that look like rocks, they have like an odd little like engraving on them. They don't have like anything indicating text like the large tombstone over here. But the interesting thing about the tombstones, specifically here, the actual like the peak roof ones they're double sided, and if you look at the kind of deformed side of it, you'll see phantasms if you like monocle up to them.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, let me do that real quick. Make sure I'm on the right side of them. There's a snake.
But yeah, it's a design that's shared between all of like even like the monolithic giant headstones and the little small.
Yeah, and they've got the hunter's mark on there as well.
Yeah,
that's really
cool.
Now,
so that seems to be specific to this area itself. The tiny headstones that just have the Eldritch Phantasm carvings, I've only seen here in, where was it? The small graveyard outside Joseph's clinic, and also in the Nightmare. But they're much more abundant in the Nightmare.
I see. Oh, crap.
Which kind of leads me to believe that they might be more Old God related. Oh, hell.
It very well could be. I hate those guys with snakes
And
popping out of their
then,
head. The vermin.
sorry, I'm still working on that 3 second delay.
No, that's all right. You just surprised me
There's
as all.
also these. Oh, sorry, you're good. At the base of the trees, there seems to be amygdala growths, but I'm trying to like figure out what material they are because some places they seem like statues, other ones they seem like they're actually part of the trees.
Oh, I've always wondered about that. That's really cool. Because yeah, they do have that similar structure. Oh crap! Big viper.
See, my first time coming through here, this is the biggest problem I have. I'm not afraid of snakes, but being chased down very slowly by giant packs of them for 3 hours straight is very unnerving.
And fun fact, everybody: snakes don't like lightning. Here's Tocho mentioning like all these really interesting facts, and I'm like, snakes don't like lightning. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I might actually run Ton Rockets next time.
Yeah, I used flame for all this time, and then I switched to nitrous. So, Daddy-O, it does take a lot of influence from Bram Stoker in terms of the setting. So you can get a lot of Van Helsing out of it. This game really draws a lot of inspiration, not only from Bram Stoker, but more so H.P. Lovecraft. And I'm always in the argument that it has a little bit to do with Edgar Allan Poe, as I mentioned through one of the first episodes. However, we don't really mention it that much. I'm missing this a little bit here. I wish I could force lightning sticks. Alright, let's keep going down here. I've always wondered, and Tocho, you might have a different opinion. It's said from a lot of lore communities that these giant graves that we see, oh, there's a huge one right there, that these giant graves actually belong to Marians, and that we are actually above the Tomb of the Old Gods, the Chalice Dungeons.
It seems very likely, especially considering certain enemies we're going to come up with soon, as well as certain notes that regard Byrgenwerth seem to allude to that.
Yes.
So that also, I guess, kind of leads into the weird tombstones that we have around here also. So I've tried to work it out in my head whether I think it's more along the lines of, like, especially with the amygdalas coming out of the trees, if it's like possibly this could be a old god graveyard, and maybe the like residual blood is affecting plant life in some way, or if everything's just disheveled due to like natural phenomena, earthquakes, or land shifts.
Oh, that very well could be.
But another thing I also noticed is there's a couple rather large, very gnarled-looking trees. You're not sure where their exact location are. I think there's 2 of them, but they're impossible to miss. That also resemble some of the trees you see down in the Chalice Dungeons as well. So it's very much kind of pointing towards not that tree you were looking at.
Oh, okay. I'm like, you mean this monster one? That's like a sequoia?
No. But it does kind of allude that. What was I thinking? I lost my thought.
That's all right.
That this area is involved with the tombs in some way, like residually. So it could very well be that we are on top of the tombs at this moment.
Yeah, I think that's right. And Wandering, I'm all with you in terms of those snakes, especially the big ones, scare the ever-loving piss out of me anytime I go through this area. Especially the big ones. And I think I'm about to encounter one right now. Or did I already get rid of that one? Or am I just...
There's the tree.
I'm here. Oh, this bridge-looking thing? I keep hearing something, and it doesn't sound good. That's usually a quote that I say pretty commonly in Bloodborne. I'm hearing something, and it doesn't
I
sound
think
good.
they might be off to your right.
Oh, crap. Snake summoners. Oh, crap. This is not the time to get a message. So, Daddy, need to conjure up a giant mongoose. That would be super helpful. I would welcome that in a heartbeat.
You can go talk to the beggar again.
I have to mention, I'm a little disappointed in Outrider right now, because I felt like we had an agreement that we weren't going to send me to my death, and that we were going to send him to Yusefka's clinic. And then at the last minute, Outrider comes in and said, "Let's take him out!"
Why would you want to send that horrible thing to the nice nurse?
All right, Outrider, I would love to get your opinion on this. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I would love to get your take on it for sure. Oh, I ended up in a wrong place there. Oops, I did not mean to be here so soon. This is something about blind runs that you should know. I try not to spoil anything, but the problem is anytime I do a blind run, I'm bound to get lost and end up in a place that I'm really not supposed to be in. Well, now we're here. Welcome to some of the H.P. Lovecraft moments of this game. The Celestials.
First time going through here. Oh, no, sorry, Todd.
That's alright. I was just going to say, who are very weak to fire, by the way.
Good to know.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, I tend not to bother with elemental stuff. First time coming through here, I'd already been, like, dealing with and dying to snakes over and over again. I finally make it to this area, and the first thought that comes to my mind is, of course, aliens are out in the boonies.
Now, we might sit there and say, what are these things, and what are they doing out here? And, oh gosh, I am so far along in the Forbidden Wood. I'm gonna loop back after I probably die on this first run through here, but that's okay. This will just provide a more enjoyable experience for the audience and bring my death counter up to 9, which isn't really good because some people had faith in me that I was only gonna die. That I was going to die less than 10 times, which I think is on y'all. Having more faith in my abilities than I use. I look at the corruption of the woods, like the influence, but below, and the old ones invading our reality. That's interesting. I guess I really never thought of it that way. I'm trying to remember. I do so much farming here, and now as the opportunity to know where I'm going, I forget. Okay, there we go. Alright. So we're going through these swampy areas, which, I mean, oddly enough, are pretty darn familiar to some of the other areas that we're used to in some of the Chalice Dungeon, which is why I kind of believe that theory. Like I said, nobody has to come to the same conclusion as I do. But we're going through this particular area where there are pigs now. Again, this place has been infested by vermin, and which is one of the things that old Voltaire is trying to help us with and trying to rid us of. So we are going down. Oh, there is a summons of Henrique. Oh dear. All right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try on my own, without help on my first run, our next boss of the game. And, Tocho, if you want to talk a little bit about these upcoming bosses, is when I get to them, I would be greatly appreciated because I'm going to be a little bit overwhelmed here.
Alrighty. Could you really ask for a cooler entrance, though?
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool.
we talked about Yarnum the person any?
No, we really haven't, actually.
Is that an okay subject?
Yes.
Okay. So, there's a character called Queen Yarnum, not to be confused with the city of Yarnum. Queen Yarnum is a Tumerian, and the Shadows of Yarnum are her servants, like her direct, like, royal guard, as it were. And if you haven't been to a challenge done just yet, you'll notice immediately they have a pretty prevalent use of fire. I'm not sure what else to make of that. A lot of people address it towards like a Dark Souls kind of callback, and there's some dialogue and stuff I can go into at a later date as to people trying to stitch the story in together with Dark Souls. Personally, I'd rather keep the story separate, but there is, at very least, the influence being from the same studio and all that. As you can notice now, they have snakes coming out of them in their second phase. These guys are infected by vermin, and I believe also the guys with the snake heads are, their official name are vermin hosts. So vermin apparently turn into or manifest in a snake-like protrusion. Sorry, I lost my thought again.
That's alright. I'm currently
Yeah,
trying not to die by these monstrous snakes. Oh no! Get him, get him, get him, get him! Alright!
I guess the interesting thing about the vermin infestation, though, nice job,
Thank you.
is that their hosts don't seem to shamble. Despite the fact that they're protruding from their head, they seem to, like, maintain full motor control. They can speak, they can use whatever magic that these shadows were using, or are familiar with. So, I'm not sure if it's the snakes are fully taking control, or if they're like more of like a symbiotes.
Oh, see, I'm in the boat of symbiotes for sure. I think they are parasites because that's kind of seems to be like what we kind of I attune to vermin in and of itself, which I always had a stupid thing that I say that's Miyazaki, who is the creator of Bloodborne. I think one of his neighbors had a dog that shat in his lawn yard, and he just didn't pick up after him. And Miyazaki took it out of his way to make the entire Forbidden Woods a giant PSA to say, hey, pick up after your dogs, because this is what happens.
Well, they live in excrement. That's fair enough.
Price slaughtered is what I say whenever I'm about to eat meat. Well, now I've got I've got a new goal in life, I suppose. I can't believe we missed that Gehrman line. I thought for sure we had it, but that's okay.
I'll look into see what actually triggers that, see if we can save it for something else, or like
Yeah.
a later episode.
I feel like it happens after the next boss, which oddly enough will come up fairly shortly. Dadgummit, I went in the wrong direction, but that's okay. I will mention that this right here is actually one of my favorite farming routes in the entire game, especially mid-game, is if you're going from the lamp, and say you need blood vials if you're playing this game, there are these pigs up here that if you can take out pretty quickly, they not only give you a lot of blood echoes, but they also give you a lot of blood vials. So this is a really good place to farm in mid-game. Brain slaughter is what I say whenever I successfully make it home from the corona. yeah, no kidding. Holy mackerel. So welcome everybody. We are currently going through the Forbidden Woods. We're going to make our way to the next place, but I'm going to make a quick pit stop. I say quick pit stop. It's actually a major detour, but I think it's... Tocho and I were talking about this earlier today, because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with this particular area, and he made a suggestion of going in a particular a particular hidden area that's really hard to find if you're not looking for it. And I am inclined to go to it and explore it a little bit because I think it's a really cool area, and we're going to visit it real quick, and then we're going to get the hell out of there. So
We stay too long, things happen. We don't want that.
we don't want that. No, that's right. Especially if we want the good ending. Which I don't know. My audience, I don't know if I can trust them anymore. They wanted me to go after the suspicious beggar, so I'm.
Never trust the audience.
Oh man, did you? Wait till you see that. That bullet, I can actually see it whizzing past my head. Alright, let's see.
Maybe
here.
I'm repeating myself here, but yeah, we mentioned earlier that the Yharnamites seem to be, they're using traps, they're using more use of tools, they're in like strategic locations. I was putting up a theory earlier about maybe someone has rallied them in some way.
Is this into any reference for one of the old hunters, Ludwig, by chance?
Possibly.
Yeah.
He did employ Yharnamites. But I think that may have been more of a, in context of just, like, the Cathedral Ward area.
Oh, okay.
Just as a personal interpretation. The Confederates, especially when it comes to, like, flavored text regarding the Moderates brothers and everything, seem to be operating outside of the church and Yharnam and all that, and they seem to have a heavy influence in this area.
And it seems like they really don't like the church all that much, either.
Which, I don't know, you mentioned that the powder kegs are said to be to have stationed out here. We did mention that they were branded as heretics by the healing churches, maybe where they decided to set up shop afterwards.
I'm sorry, community outrider. Sorry, sometimes when I play this game, I lose track of words, feelings, bladder control, those kind of things. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember exactly where this... Oh yeah, I found it. There's a dog chasing me. I'll say one thing about this game and Dark Souls in general, or Soulsborne games, is that they're really going. They do a good job with sound cues, so that I know when things are coming up. We are visiting a very interesting part of this game that really doesn't seem like any other within the game so far. And you'll notice these little plants that are sticking out. And you'll also you might also get into a little bit of the celestials that we render. Those little, I call them blue goobers. Anytime that you see those celestials, you will see these kind of plants here. I don't know if this is necessarily like a source of food or just something that they grow around here, but it's extremely prevalent. Now, Tocho, you want to talk about this place that I'm in right now? Because I think you've got a good grasp of what we were talking about tonight, and I'm super intrigued to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay, so speaking just about our location that we're in, first thing you'll notice is the water is poisonous. It doesn't apply any unique effects, though. It can be taken apart with your antidote. Another thing you'll notice is the Church of Giants lying around, which does, pretty much confirm that the Healing Church has something going on here. They don't tend to like their secrets getting out, as we've already figured out. And if you follow this river along, you'll see that it leads to the area, Old Yharnam, where we fought the blood-starved beast. And putting all this stuff together, what it boils down to is... Let me see if I can find the right wording. Hold on, let me find some flavor text to quote.
It's funny, so Daddy-O, I have no problem with the Slender Man, but these stupid little worm things are the thing that I'm scared of.
Oh, they're the worst.
Which, oddly enough, I thought they were weak to fire. Nope. Apparently they're only weak to fire in certain occasions. But not here. Yeah, and they jump! Which is one of my biggest fears when it comes to critter law is that anything that goes into three-dimensional space, I'm automatically afraid of. So
There's
spiders,
never just one of them.
yeah, much like dogs.
Well. Okay, where did I had...
Those goober plants are the corruption on the natural world from the beings from beyond. Yeah, we talk a lot about the beings from beyond, which are known as the Celestials. They're very akin to go with the Great Ones. And it is the duty of the third echelon of the healing church that we know of is known as the choir. So the choir is very significant in this as well, as they do research on the celestial beings. And they will become significant in this story because they... I can't say beings, apparently. Slow Daddy, thank you. I'm not going to Catehurst yet! Catehurst is another episode. I know you want me to go there, Tin Man, and I want to go there, it's just not yet.
Okay, so the flavor text on the antidote tablets reads: tablets used to treat ashen blood. The tablets only provide temporary relief. Ashen blood ailment eventually hold on, my handwriting is atrocious.
That's all right.
Actually, can you pull it up real quick? The
What's that?
antidote.
Antidote? Yeah, absolutely. Oops, I just deselected it instead. That was smart. Okay, small medicinal tablets that counteract poison used to treat ashen blood and the baffling sickness that ravaged Old Yarnum long ago. These tablets provide only short-term relief. The ashen blood ailment eventually triggered the spread of the beastly scourge.
Okay, so the flavor text on this directly links the outbreak of the scourge to ashen blood. And there's a theory that I'm, I guess, sponsoring. It's not my theory. I don't remember who exactly did it. But it's pretty believable. There's a theory that in the early days of the healing church, they were trying to, gain credibility. They have this miraculous healing blood, consolidate power so that they could eventually fund their research. There's a theory that they caused the outbreak of the ashen blood plague, and then in turn used their old god blood, their miracle cure, as a means to say, hey, this thing cures everything. Everyone come to Yarnum, spread the word. And eventually that would lead to, Yarnum's golden age, as it were. Mm-hmm. But that area that we were just in with the Poison Lake and the Church Defiance, if you follow that lake around, it leads to Old Yarnum. And being in the lake afflicts you with the same poison mechanically. Maybe it's just game mechanics, but it does afflict you with a poison that is curable by these tablets. Which kind of implies that the Healing Church may have, poisoned the water supply and facilitated this outbreak as a means to,
I love that theory. I think it's got a lot of validity to it. Of, if you're dealing with a cure-all miracle, wouldn't you want kind of like an us versus the beast kind of idea? And by doing that, it was their theory to let's just poison. Let's poison the people that exist within Old Yarnum.
It does, Soldadio.
Yeah. What's that?
It'll help with his little man-aches. It does.
It does, yes, absolutely. But it'll also turn you into a beast. So, it's up to you.
What'd you lose, what you gain, really.
Exactly. And Tam-Man, to answer your question, I am going to do the true ending, which means I'm going to take an interesting route through here. Now, if y'all remember correctly, we are in Yusefka's clinic. And we have been given the opportunity to send people here, provided to go with what ails them and put them into a safe spot. Well, this is ultimately what happens. So, you remember our nun friend that we sent here? Well, now she is a blue goober. And we can see this by the Odin wreath, right? I'm gonna try to make sure
Rise.
Rise, thank you. I'm gonna try not to mess this up. Is that where I don't want to be? I'm just trying to remember where I don't want to be right now, so you'll have to pardon me for a few minutes, because...
Yeah, this little archway corridor is fine.
Okay. I think I think I'm in a position where I can say what's going on here is that Yusefka, as we know her, isn't actually Yusefka. She... Oh, crap. Bye! I don't know if she'll chase me, but I'm not going to find out.
No. She'll tell you to leave, and if you leave, it should be fine.
Okay. So Yusefka actually has an imposter in here. She is not friendly. In fact, she wants you to send her these Celestials for a very specific purpose. Send people so that she can conduct experiments to make them become Celestials. We can only assume that the person that I just killed right there is Yusefka. Now, if we don't kill her, which I'm not going to, we can come back at a later time. In fact, we can do it right after the next area in the game here. Sorry, Tan Man. I think as long as we don't spawn her, unless Tocho, you know something that I don't. If I killed Yusefka there, that bad things are going to happen.
No, she'll pretty much tell you to bug her off, and if you leave her alone, she'll go about her business.
Okay, cool. So this is probably one of my favorite items in the game, is the Canehurst summons. It's definitely Tan Man's, for sure. It is an old bloodstained summons inviting the honored guests for the Forsaken Canehurst, Castle Canehurst. Rather bafflingly, I can't read today, it is addressed to you. Do not hesitate, the stagecoach awaits from Hemwick Crossing, which we will get to here for too long. What's interesting about that, it is addressed to you, which there's a lot of people that have the theory that the reason that you are playing Bloodborne, the reason that you are here in the first place, is because it was your duty as an outsider to go to Canehurst. And that's why you were in Yharnam in the first place. Don't play your library finds. Not with Yusefka. Not with her imposter.
Yeah, Yusef gets replaced pretty early on. I think it's like right after Gascoigne's death, isn't it?
Actually, I think it's sooner than that. Because when I went to talk to her first, she had already... Because like when you first talk to her, if you catch it really early in the game, she's like, I'm not taking any visitors. You know, stay away from me. And then all of a sudden, I mentioned this in the first episode, and I tried to, like, wiggle my way out of this. She rather bafflingly says, hey, why don't you bring people here? Which, you know, great, change of heart, right? Canehurst. Gosh, everybody's giving me a hard time today. I don't know how to pronounce things. Let's go to the Forbidden Grave.
It's a fantastic zone, but
Oh my
it deserves its own episode.
Yes, Canehurst actually is going to get its own episode. So you're welcome, Tan Man. So that does lead me to the interesting thing about it, where we were in Yusefka's clinic. And I'm going to follow along, again, my favorite mid-game farming place, which has to do with these pigs. Much like South Park and World of Warcraft, the best way to farm in this game too is by hunting boars. If anybody gets that joke.
Yeah, I've actually been playing a while. World of Warcraft has released their classic version, which is the game as it was in like when it first released in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And after playing that for a couple months, it is painfully accurate. The killing boars joke.
I love Martyr Ligarius. I think Martyr Ligarius is an unbelievably cool boss.
I actually took him down today.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call him my favorite boss, but he's up there in my top. I'd say I think I did a boss ranking on Twitter, and he was in my top 4. I think he was my 4th favorite boss, only with Gascoigne, Lady Maria, and another boss that I won't mention.
I think it's safe to say he's one of the harder ones.
They're all pretty hard. Ligarius is really hard. I had a rage quit moment on Ligarius.
The first time going through it took me like 3 days to get him
Oh
down.
crap, I have bad arcane defense with this thing on. Ah! You can easily get one-shotted by those things. And remember, if going through Yusefka's clinic, you see these blue celestials, it is rumored that they have escaped or let go from Yusefka's, and they take residence here in the Forbidden Woods. Which, I mean, I'm inclined to believe that. I think it's a reasonable assumption because they're rarely anybody else in here. This is just some one odd place.
Well, to my knowledge, all of the Celestials, at least that we encounter, were created by the Church, and that would be the only broken link, as it were.
Oh, okay. We're getting into a Gascoigne debate in the chat here. Oops. Which Dr. Ryan Kelly always does the Gascoigne from Disney, or Gascon. Gaston. Oh my gosh. Y'all, you need to cut me off tonight. I just cannot talk. I haven't had anything to drink. I don't know why. Words are escaping me right now. It's Bloodborne. And I'm probably wearing some pretty bad armor for what I'm about to get into. Speaking of Gascoigne, I think I'm going to equip his stuff for what's about to come.
So, as a point of gameplay, is it like does it actually help you to switch out armor with every boss? Because I mean, I know you get like resistance and stuff, but at least with my experience in it, I get hit so hard it barely matters anyways.
Well, I have a feeling that it does, because anytime I wear the white church stuff, which is supposed to be really good against arcane, I still get wrecked by those small spiders. I'm like giving away a boss here. Oops. I'm like not even thinking. Not the pipe per se, but the moment you meet him and the feeling. The game will be moving forward. Yeah, man, Gascoigne's reveal is one of the best.
Yeah.
Alright, so now we are getting into a new place, into the woods. Continuing our journey into the woods. And I'm trying to remember where this thing is. It's on my right, and it's going to appear really quickly. Little shock there to start us off, which we will be talking about those enemies quite a lot, because there's a lot of them, and I do not like them. Welcome, everybody, to one of the places that we've been talking about quite a bit in our lore stream, Byrgenwerth. Byrgenwerth is a place of learning. It is a college. It is host to basically the origin of all this story, which is one of the beliefs why the Chalice Dutica area. So, what we know about Byrgenwerth, it is headed by Provost Maester Willem, who we've talked about quite a bit, and he is, there's a summons here. Oh, wow. I didn't know you could summon this person. I'm going to do it. What the hell? I could use the help around here. Clean up some messes. We know that Willem had a very unique viewpoint of how to reach ascension to becoming a great one, and that is by insight. You know what? I'm going to let Matterus do his thing. Just do your thing, buddy. Do your thing. I'm going to be over here. Now, it's been said through the Old Blood that you kind of adapt and become a beast by the surroundings that you're in. However, Willem doesn't believe in Old Blood. Um, he thinks it is something that's very dangerous. And so I wonder in this case if these beasts here are afflicted by the same property of consuming too much insight. And that's why they're these mosquito-looking things with like a billion eyeballs. Tocho, I don't know how you feel about that.
I kind of feel that it might be a little bit of both with these guys.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I've presented my theory about, blood and insight being ascension through either mind or body. We see that ascension of the body, turns you into a beast. You don't have the mental capacity to handle the hormones, the change body chemistry, that kind of thing. You don't have the willpower to maintain that, so you go feral, is the theory that I go with. And then insight is, of course, ascension of the mind, thoughts, higher planes, and we'll see, especially later with things I don't think I'm allowed to mention right now, but things that ascend through insight tend to lose form.
That's fair. That's a good point.
So I would think that with these guys turning into like weird insectoid, mosquito, leech things would be a focus on insight, because they are relatively formless compared to other things we've seen, and they also have a prevalence of eyes on their bodies. But I would think that they have some kind of support through blood to facilitate that transformation.
Oh, it matters. You are just getting wrecked. Oh, there we go. Now you get to see one of the most annoying mechanics in this game. I think. I'm gonna try to stay away from them.
Oh, that's nasty.
Oh, I can't get hit. Oh, wow. That was unbelievably close.
Frenzy is the worst thing in this game.
Frenzy is the worst thing in this game. It is akin to bleed in Dark Souls, and what it does is it instantly takes 80% of your health.
No matter what loadout I try, I never seem to have enough frenzy resist. Which I think, actually, it might be influenced by your insight. I think I read that somewhere.
Oh, really?
I think. I don't know if it helps it or hurts it,
That's
but
super
I
interesting.
think it has something to do with it.
Let's see, where does this thing fall? This gives arcane haze. You can find those in the chalice dungeons. This is like the only one that you actually see in, like saying, in the wild. Outside of the Tomb of the Old Gods, that big, ugly-looking thing with a million teeth and arcane abilities is only found in the chalice dungeons, but you can find them here, which again gives the idea that it's very much a component of the fact that it's from the Tomb of the Old Gods. Oh, wow, good hit! That was awesome!
Yeah, I think that's how it works too, Tamman, thank you. I think the logic behind it is, like, the more insight you get, a lot of people go mad and, frenzy. So I think it's a higher insight, lower resistance.
Oh, good call, Tam, man. Thank you. All right. So, Tocho, I hate to keep calling on you like this, but if you want to mention who I'm coming up to here in a minute, I'm going to try fighting. Especially now that I have a helper. I don't know how well it's going to go, but...
It's not that hard.
I struggle. So this is Yuri.
I have mad respect for Yuri being a cane whip user.
Yeah, that's right, you're Team Cane Whip. Which, oddly enough, I think has the best and funniest cheese strat in the entire game.
It's such a great weapon. I don't see why people hate it.
Okay, that was much easier than I anticipated. This goes
Sorry, I
back
know I
to...
should be talking about her, but I'm going to wait till this is over.
No, that's okay. We know Yuri as a... she is actually a member of the choir And Tocho, do you want to mention what the theories of why she's there?
Well, there's a couple of different theories. One of them that people kind of jumped on when you see that her full like title is Yuri the Last Scholar, and a lot of people take that as she is the last scholar of Byrgenwerth. She's just the last person, hanging out with Master Willem, pushing on his studies. Personally, I'd have to strongly disagree with that. There's some flavor text, is what I was trying to find earlier, because I knew this would come up. There is some flavor text regarding some of the Healing Church, or like garb, that pretty much like defiantly says that Willem completely cut off contact with the Healing Church. He has no idea what they've been up to for however long they've been out. So it's, unless for somehow she's survived for upwards of hundreds of years, which isn't impossible, but I would say unlikely for her. It's not likely she has any actual connection to Byrgenwerth. Now, the choir, being one of the primary like research wings of the Healing Church, is the most directly related to Byrgenwerth. They kind of continued the work that was left there. Lawrence is like, okay, we're going to focus on blood, how that affects everything, but also it is also pretty important. So you guys focus on that. Essentially, in layman's terms. So my personal theory is that Isefka, who is it willing to? I'm trying to think if it's worth spoiling that, or if it's even a spoiler at this point.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so Yosefka and Yuri are both members of the choir.
Yes, I've heard that theory as well.
And it's personally, I find it more likely that as like a last-ditch effort, Yosefka's trying to make Celestials, trying to perfect the method of ascension that they found on citizens of Yharnam, whatever they can scrounge by, and Yuri is trying to ransack Byrgenwerth for whatever information they may have collected in the Healing Church's absence. Now, there's a couple more theories involving Yuri and Byrgenwerth and the relation with the Healing Church, but that's the one that I particularly subscribe to.
Yeah, I tend to agree, especially with the scavenger component of it.
The important distinction, not real infector, imposter Yosefka. I don't think we know her actual name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really just kind of finding spies to go around the area, which, is kind of what brings a rivalry between not only the choir, which is in the Healing Church, but also the School of Mensis, which is also in the Healing Church. And they've got very much a rivalry between the two of them in this case. And they don't like each other to the point where they try to kidnap each other and kill each other because they've got two very separate philosophies in here. And Outrider, for the chat, the jars in the buildings are filled with eyeballs. Yes, and that very much relates a lot to what we've been talking about. Good catch, Outrider, in terms of having eyes and what Willem believes. And we've actually picked up a few significant finds here that I want to touch base on. First is the Pearl Slug. Of all the strange life forms that reside in the nooks and crannies of the old labyrinth, the slugs are clear sight of left behind great ones. It is clear that they have made huge discoveries within this particular area of Byrgenwerth, of these discoveries for finding great ones and trying to achieve enlightenment as well as ascension in this case. The other item that we picked up that I think is super interesting, I think it's actually in my inventory, is the empty phantasm shell. Empty invertebrate shell that is said to be a familiar of a great one. The Healing Church discovered a great variety of invertebrates, or phantasms as they are called. Shells with slime still harbor arcane power and can be rubbed onto weapons to imbue them with their strength. This is really clear that Byrgenwerth had succeeded in a lot of cases to find great ones and try to utilize their power. And you can see here as as Outrider was mentioned, all these places that have eyeballs in this case. So we're going to go up here real quick and check a note. that is left on the floor, or not on the floor, on the shelf here. When the red moon hangs low, the line between man and beast is blurred. And when the great ones descend, a womb will be blessed with a child. Now, if y'all remember correctly in a previous episode, this is actually something that the School of Mensis is searching for. So they've given you this, well, they've given anybody who reads it this assignment to kill this infant in this case. And basically, this also alludes to the fact that in the previous episodes that when we were going through some of these areas in Yarhar Ghul, as well as Himwick, we kept seeing these beasts that are appearing from the ground. We kept seeing things that don't quite add up. And this is kind of into reference this, is that the red moon has to be it needs to be present. Moreover, on that, if what we've seen in Yarhar Ghul was, behold the pale blood sky, and this is what this is referring to. So now we've got a new set of mission here, which is we are going to try to find what creates this red moon, known as the pale moon, and basically try to uncover the secrets within that, things that aren't really seen the way that they're supposed to. So, and now that I know that I can do this, apparently, I'm going to have some fun, and I'm going to conjure up 2 people. Because this looks like fun. Let's see if this is... Oh, student uniform. This is a good one to talk about as well. Let's go to the armor real quick. Student uniform. Uniform is by the students of Byrgenwerth. A bygone institute of learning features a thick cape. The Healing Church has its roots in Byrgenwerth. Remember, Lawrence was a part of Byrgenwerth at one point before he left to create the Healing Church, and naturally borrows heavily from the uniform design. The focus not on knowledge or thought, but on pure pretension that would surely bring Master Willem to despair if he only knew. Basically saying that Willem, in a lot of cases, is not aware of what has occurred here.
I think that was the flavor text I was looking for.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was like part of the choir uniforms. I was looking through all those.
Let's get some insight, I think. Oh, I thought I got insight through here. And look at what we got here. It's Willem. And my companions can't go this way. So we're going to talk to Willem. And Willem is pointing in the direction of the beautiful lakeside property of Byrgenwerth, where he does a lot of his reflection. Willem, in my opinion, acts to me as an old southern gentleman from Savannah, drinking his peach tea, sitting out on his rocking chair, staring out in, just, you know, he's enjoying that nice cool breeze here at Byrgenwerth. Anyway, sorry, I'm just being So, we're getting into one theory that I want to mention, and this actually took me way longer than it should have, because I'm like, where do I go? Which Willem basically points it out, and there's kind of a clear thing right here. But there's falling damage in this game, so I get a little weary, so... But let's go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, that took me longer than I'm proud to admit to figure out.
We're at the Moonside Link, and out there, and before I go and ruin this thing's day, we're seeing what looks like a big boulder with, I say, we are granted eyes, feel the old blood, I say. I'm never going to get that out of my head, Outrider, thank you.
That's there.
It looks like a big boulder that's, that has, what do you call it, dandelions on top of them. This is probably one of my least favorite bosses in the entire game, Rom. Now, Rom is, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think it kind of alludes to a student that's turned sacrifice. And we don't really know, because it's not really talked about in too much detail, if Rom is hidden in the lake or is being held hostage. If Rom is being hidden, It is a method of keeping a secret of ascension away from the pupils of Lawrence and also the school of Mensis, who is known as Mikolash. The other, and I kind of subscribe to this theory, and once I start fighting at Tocho, if you want to weigh into this, I think it's a hostage. And it's a method to keep the leader of the school of Mensis, Mikolash, and Mikolash coops Willem up and hides the spider, preventing the spider from being found. And what this means is that Mikolash would know about the spider because he will reference him later on when we meet Mikolash. Willem would actually want it found to stop Mikolash, is what he would want Rom found. So that's one of the reasons why I think Willem points at the lake to go at at Rom. And when we get into Yharnam after this, we learn a little bit more about what Mikolash has been doing. So if you want to weigh in on that, and I'm going to go hopefully not die.
Well, as far as what Rom is, it is a kin Great One, which is, as the name implied, it's like a Great One, but it's not quite there yet. It is a very powerful being, but it's not nearly on the level of the old gods. As for Rom specifically, there is nothing that directly states, hey, Rom was a student of Byrgenwerth, but, like, I don't know, stitching together clues and vague flavor text off of items that pertain to it, it seems to be the general consensus, that there still is some debate involved in it. As far as whether or not Rom is being held hostage, I think, personally, I can't remember which items point to it, but personally I would think that Rom was a project of Byrgenwerth, was created with an intention, and not just something that they found lying around. So, personally, I would lean more towards the thought that Willem and Rom are kind of working together to prevent events from happening.
And I think initially you're right. I think the hostage comes into later on. Because my whole thing is why Mikolash and Yarhar Ghul, or School of Mensis, knows about this thing in the first place.
Yeah, that's another thing. Things surrounding Rom are very vague, and it's kind of annoying when you're trying to lore hunt for it. There is a couple, I believe it's either the Deep Sea or the Lake runes. They do mention that Master Willem buried a secret within the lake, and this is the only thing I could think it was, so I'm not sure
there goes
that I could really subscribe to that he wasn't involved in putting Rom in the lake. No, I'm just trying to...
I can definitely buy it.
Still.
I can definitely buy it. I'm really confused in a lot of cases to what this thing is.
Yeah.
Because it is so vague. I do think Willem was in cahoots of creating it. And it's ultimately more or less a sacrifice to keep Yharnam unaware of some of the bigger horrors. Like, we've seen the Beastly Scourge, but as we will come to find out, there are things that are so much worse than beasts.
I think it might be worth revisiting the topic of Rom at a later date when things are not less spoily.
Oh, absolutely. No, and that's a good point.
Because it's another thing that makes it hard to talk about, especially at this point. Because we have, like, especially like from a new player coming into this game, you have almost no references to Rom available at this time.
Yeah. Rom gets really annoying in his third phase. Excuse me. Everything that we know implies her to be a her. And there's two ways that you can take on this battle. One is to go right for Rom and leave these little spiders alone. Which, personally, I've never been able to do effectively. Because here's a fun fact: is when Rom teleports away, his spiders don't leave. No. They stay around. So you can be of upwards, because it's every time it's 10 spiders. Henrik's about to die. They spawn 10 spiders at any given point in time. And so with that, if at any point you die, or excuse me, at any point that these spiders are defeated, or excuse me, at any point you don't kill them, they'll just keep coming with. Oh, great, my weapon's at risk now. That's fantastic.
You almost got it. You got it.
Sorry, I'm going to stay away from these AoEs. Hopefully avoid his tantrums and his arcane. That doesn't always work as well as I... This is probably one of the most annoying things I find in Bloodborne in general, is arcane is this, like, super overpowered element that can one-shot you if you're not careful. So I have, for the most part, really, really hated fighting Rom. But that went pretty well.
Nice.
You know, not too bad. Okay. So now that we are done... What's that? Go ahead.
Oh, just as a quick thing before we move on from this, there is also some debate around Rom's name. It's Rom the Vacuous Spider. Some people have taken to referencing the literal translation from Japanese. It is Rom the Idiotic Spider.
Okay.
So that brings in, what is the nature of Rom? Is it essentially what it boils down to is two theories. One is Rom is a kin great one that is so profoundly stupid that it like sucks in insight from the things around it, which prevents people from seeing Elder's truth.
That's interesting.
The other theory is vacuous refers to itself is capable of preventing people from seeing truth and is therefore hoarding knowledge, sucking in rituals and knowledge of things that could accommodate ascension.
Take care, slow daddy. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. But that's just like an interesting thing I came across trying to prep for this is interpretations involved in its name. Also, a little side bit. Apparently, it also gets distracted if you throw down shiny coins.
Does it really? I wish I would have known that. I've never tried that either.
I've never tried it, but apparently that's a thing that happens.
And I've got 61 of them. I should have used it. And I had them in my inventory. Dadgummit. Okay. So, we've mentioned before within this game about Yarhar Ghul in this previous note in terms of this idea of finding an infant Great One. And we've also mentioned about Lady Yharnam, the Thumerian Queen. And guess what? We found her. So it's mentioned way later, which we won't see. Lady Yharnam is a Thumerian, but she's also was supposed to give birth to a Great One. But that didn't work. She was a surrogate, and she had a miscarriage. And so this is kind of Murgo, which is the name of the child, which we heard the lullaby when we were in Central Yharnam to begin the game. And ultimately, this is number one where Yharnam comes from, was from this Thumerian queen. But also, it really does get into the Eldritch truth, which is her relationship with Erden, which is a chapel that exists within Central Yharnam, where we fought, Henrik. Now, here's the thing of what comes in it. First, I'm gonna see if I can skip this real quick, so I don't have to look at what we're looking at just yet. I'm gonna try to beat an executioner before I. There we go. Now, if you've noticed before, oh great, there's people shooting at me. That's just lovely. That's just what I need when I'm fighting these things. I'm gonna try to find a spot where I can't get hit. You've noticed before, ow. You've noticed before. I'm trying to tell Lore, gunman, would you chill out? We've noticed before that the sky was really murky, was really gray, And now, oh wow, this is a perfect view. The blood moon has now descended, and now we are seeing Yarnum and the truth for what it actually is. And so we see, which I love it when it turns this way, because the sky turns this deep purple and pink, but also this red blood moon. And if you listen very carefully, you can start to hear, "What's up, Potter? How you doing?" You can start to hear the cry of a child. And now we're starting to not only get into what Yarhar Ghul was trying to talk about when they were saying, hey, seek out this child, but we're also seeing the pale blood sky. But I feel like a game show announcer. But wait, there's more! We're going to go see what has resulted besides people shooting at me. Something that you wouldn't be able to see before, but now you will be able to see, are these creatures. Straight out of a H.P. Lovecraft novel, these things are called amygdalas. They are monsters that are actually hidden. And normally you are not able to see them in any capacity, and I'll show you more as we go along. But I'm going to run down here. I'm going to get to our next level. All you would see is this in normal cases, that like ball of light. You wouldn't even see what was grabbing you, and it would end up killing you if you weren't ready. Now, doesn't this place look familiar? Which is going to be the subject of our next episode when we get to that. We're still going to run around a little bit to conclude the episode. But we had mentioned the Hypogen Jail as a very important part of this run. And we also mentioned that there seems to be a lot of things that weren't adding up in terms of what we were seeing versus what it was actually, what could be potentially going on. We saw what Mensis wanted us to see when it came to the Unseen Village. Now we're going to see things for how they really are. And you can see these amygdalas that are hanging on the buildings. They are everywhere. They are ubiquitous. And I am not going to be dealing with any of them right now, because that is the subject of next episode. So I'm going to go back to the dream real quick, head to Cathedral Ward, and just for funsies, I'm going to go back to the forest before we end today and see if I can take on the abhorrent beast. Because why the hell not?
Very well.
This is going to be a bad mistake, especially since I still have plenty of blood vials to work with. Wow, I do have a lot. Hold on. I'm going to try to level up. Is there anything that you wanted to mention for the Eldritch Truth as we're kind of going along here and seeing things for as they really are, Tocho, while I'm kind of managing a few things here?
Well, I guess with the fall of Rom, the interesting thing is that the amygdala can be visible if you have, I think it's either 40 or 60 insight. Like, you'll be able to see them. They're actually hanging around Odin Chapel and around, Yarnum. They're just around. But after defeating Rom, you do not need insight to be able to see them. Now, there's two possibilities that people are playing with. One of them is that Rom's purpose is creating this barrier that prevents people from seeing Eldritch Truth, whether it be for slowing down Mensis, working with a Willem, or just like a passive thing that it does, and that's why it was created. And that barrier it erects dissipate whenever you killed it, and which is why you're able to see, the Blood Moon. You're able to see the amygdala, and I don't know if you want to get into it now, but people start reacting to the Eldritch things that are happening now. Another theory is one that involves your own character's progression. That the more old gods and the more like weird stuff you see, you start gaining like a secondary insight that's not tracked with your currency insight. whereas you, the player yourself, are now able to see these things after absorbing some of the essence of Rom and some of the other beasts that you've slain, some of the weird stuff you've seen. You're starting to understand on your own past this. Now, the weird thing with that one is, yes, the citizens of Yharnam are now feeling the effects of the blood moon, but are they aware of things that are going on?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does, and especially, and this is a really good segue to talking to some of the people in our chapel. I'm gonna talk to the dweller real quick, Mr. McGrabby Hands.
Ain't no more surviving.
Oh, okay, he's still talking the same. But some of the dialogue has changed. For instance, Ariana.
Oh, there you are. Forgive me, I'm a bit out of sorts. So, no blood today, I'm afraid.
She actually can't give blood anymore. She is in great pain, and this blood moon has been a big cause of that. See if her dialogue's changed at all. I'm gonna keep doing it. She's gonna keep giving me sedatives. Very helpful. She gave me 1 the first time, she gave me 2 the second time, and now she's giving me 3.
But I see through your deceit.
Oh, now his dialogue's changed.
Not learn from books? No, 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 no. I learned it all with my own mind.
Okay. Good for you.
Good job.
Good job. Yeah, gold star for you. Alright, no, I'm gonna save that for later. I am gonna see, however, I'm gonna go in a different direction. You remember we've gone through this area, I don't know how many times, but now we're starting to see, as Tocho has mentioned to us, imparted his own wisdom here. So is that about how you get Madman's Dolly? Sort of, yes. If you collect enough of them, you can see these amygdalas that hang off the building. However, Ram was holding back what we call a veil that sees everything surrounding us for what it actually is. And as we go, especially in the next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But again, now that the veil is uncovered and the blood moon hangs low, we can actually see the amygdalas without having to use insight. Oh, I mean him talking about the books versus the mind. No. I genuinely think that gentleman is just there to be rude and inconsiderate and actually do the opposite of what you say. So fun fact. So we sent Adela, the nun, to Yusefka's. And I mentioned in a previous episode, if you send her to the chapel, she'll go very much into full jealousy mode of Ariana, the blonde woman, who is the lady of the night. And she goes, she's very much jealous of her. And as the blood moon descends, she goes into this wild fit of laughter. Tocho, you may remember this. You'd have to look it up on YouTube, but it is interesting to hear. But the other thing that happens, especially with the older gentleman that sits in the corner and just berates you the entire time, he actually will say, "I don't trust the lady of the night, I trust the nun." Which is funny because when you're talking to the two of them, it's the nun that's not to be trusted, and it's Ariana that is the nice one to you. In fact, even the... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. For as convoluted as Bloodborne's, lore hunting everything is, it has some very on-the-nose foreshadowing.
Yes, it does, as a matter of fact. To go even further with that, if you consume enough of... Or I said consume like... you're drinking it of some sort. My weapon's still at risk.
A little bit.
That's alright. I don't know if I necessarily need this. It would just be better if I did. But if you take enough of Ariana's blood, like I said, Adela will actually kill Ariana. What's more, I think I'm going the wrong way. What's more is she will actually try to kill you, as it were, because of her jealousy. There you go. I thought that was going to be a lot worse than it was, but oh, the night is still young. I always contend the best way to kill these snakes dudes is just by not letting them spawn at all. Alright. Let's try this again as we're wrapping up this stream. Oh, okay. This guy's still here.
Also, since we're here again, if you take a look after done dealing with this off into the ocean, I forgot to mention it earlier, but you can actually see Byrgenwerth from here.
Can you really? Okay. Alright, took that guy out. Oh yeah, you sure can. How about that? Yeah, so if you look down there, that is Byrgenwerth, and that is the lake where we just came from to fight Rom. I was just making sure I can hear the beggar.
It's also interesting to note the pale blood moon hasn't affected this area at all.
That is right. That actually was in my notes, oddly enough. That's kind of cool that like everywhere else is affected, but this is not. I did forget to pick up an item here, so provided I don't die.
Oh, you told me to remind you about that too.
Let's see. Is it still here? I don't see it.
It was down there, I think. Also, we
oh, there it is. Yeah.
The grave guard.
Yeah. I need to be able to find it first. Oh, is he gone? I think he's gone.
Oh, that's unnerving.
That is unnerving. That's kind of one of those things of like, oh, it's gone. Now it's going to appear behind. I wonder if my blood echoes are still here. I haven't died since then. Oh, wow. Look at that. Well,
that's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Oh my god, that sucks. Because there is no way I'm going to be getting
it for later.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to do that, actually. See if I can see him again. Oh my gosh.
What do we keep forgetting about? Did you lose stream? There you go.
Only for a second. Oh my gosh, that is too funny. I was taking a screenshot. All right, let's get this item real quick, and if I can find the grave tinder. Ooh, if I don't fall, that was close. There we go. We're gonna get the cannon, which I love the cannon, even though it takes up so many bullets. So let's get into an item description. Large prototype firearms fashioned by the workshop heretics, the powder kegs. Use this weapon as an equivalent for turning a mounted cannon, complete with its ridiculous weight, staggering kick, and lavish use of quicksilver bullets into battle. Such a monstrosity was... Man, I love these descriptive words. Such a monstrosity was doomed from the start, and is indeed developed with... was cut short. Yet against its impossible gigantic foes, it might just be the thing. Which, honestly, there's a handful of enemies on this game I kind of like to use it with.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly winter lanterns.
Yeah, those guys. Worst. Absolutely.
There are a few enemies in this game that I think I would just... I'm going to flat out skip them. They are at the top. They are at the tippy top of the list of things that I will not fight.
That and something I don't think I can talk about, but
oh,
the boss that isn't a boss.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And fun fact, we are going to try to do it. I don't know how well it's going to go, but we're going to try to do it when that episode comes. It's going to be one of the last ones we get to, though.
There is one thing you must know.
Talk to Henrique. Wow.
Those who
Walter.
its rune will see vermin. Vermin writhe deep within all
Tan Man sharks.
and are the to be crushed. The League exists to exterminate
Yeah, we're getting into the DLC here.
ridding us of any
Yeah.
trace.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't played the DLC? Oh, you're missing out. So good.
You must continue to hunt and kill. This bloody
That's why
fight
Maria's not in the Gascoigne versus what's his name debate.
do not expect the world to grasp.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
The debate that was happening earlier between Gascoigne or not Gascoigne and I forget what was happening in chat. The other guy,
Always.
Lawrence.
Oh, Lawrence. Ugh. Yeah, there are certain bosses in this game that I'm not looking forward to fighting. So we're at about 2 hours.
Ligarius, that's what it was. Thank
Oh,
you.
Gary. Oh, Tan Man,
My
yes.
short term is terrible.
I am looking forward to the Canehurst episode. I really am. It's just such a fun place. You know what? I'm going to do one more thing before we go. Unless Tocho, do you need to be somewhere?
Nah, I'm home.
Okay, let's have a little fun. Usually you can teleport to any part in this game, but we're noticing that the Grand Cathedral is not functioning at the present time. So when I first saw this in one of my playthroughs, my first instinct was, what's going on there? We're about to find out. And this is, I usually was ill-advised to do things like this, but I'm bringing in the cheese for this one. So if we've got some
I think
lore
we can
talk,
forgive it with this one.
yeah. So we've got some lore talk about this particular boss. I am more than willing to talk about it because it's going to take me a few minutes.
I didn't have anything prepared for him.
I wasn't either, but that's okay. Outrider, thanks for joining, buddy. I hope you have a good night, and I hope to see you next week. If not talking with you sooner, that'll probably be the case. We're always talking anyway. Have a good night. All right, let's go up here. Oops, nope, that is the wrong way. Let's see if I can. I won't be able to dodge everything. And I forget these things have eyes now. Anytime that you've got plus 15 insight, they actually make the game a little bit harder for you.
Is it every 15 intervals?
I don't know if it's every 15 intervals, but you can see things that you couldn't before when you have 15.
Yeah. I think if you have 20, you can hear Amelia cry during your fight.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. Okay, 10, 25, 30, and 50. Oh, he's going to chase after me. I've got no choice.
It's the pallbearers are gone.
Yeah, I'm not positive about it either. I just know this weapon sucks against. Oh, a cannon would have been a good idea. That's on me. I'm not going to use a cannon for this guy, though. All right. Brace yourself. You doing all right, Tocho?
Doing alright.
All right. So here we have visited quite a few times our friend Eileen.
Is that you again?
Shut up, Belle. I'm talking to Eileen.
I'm just going to have a short rest. No, don't worry. I've taken blood. Enough to save an old woman. No more dreams for me. This is my last chance. What a fool I am.
It's implied that Eileen has gone through the dream
But that thing's
and now has awoken.
turn back. This is my score to settle.
Ugh. Eileen does not want to accept death by anybody's terms but her own. She is obviously bleeding out pretty heavily. She is not in good condition. And she said there is a thing in there that is ultimately causing some major damage. And we are about to go see him. And the reason we can't get into the Grand Cathedral is the Canehurst Crow. Oh man, I forgot how bad his... how hard he hits. Even with his gun. Come on, do your blood
Is that
tinge.
the repeating pistol?
I think so. Oh, got a parry in. That's nice. Too bad it didn't really do much. Use your blood tinge. We're gonna do some dancing here, everybody. Cause this guy hits like a freight train. There we go. That's what I wanted. So, if you're not aware of blood tinge builds, they actually do damage to themselves in an increase of power. So, I don't like to do a lot of cheese in this game as much as I can help. But for this guy, I make an exception.
I think everyone makes that exception with him.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anyone take him on legit.
I've seen some runs of taking him legit, but it is definitely few and far. Are you seriously going to wait until I'm out of the church? Damn man, you beat him legit. You have my respect. That is not an easy thing to do. Yeah. So he's got one healing vial of memory serves. So I'm gonna do two things. One is wait out for him to use his blood tinge and wait for him to heal up. I'm almost positive he has that ability. Yep, there it is. Alright, so now he's healed up. Ow. And now, I'm going to use my favorite weapon for cheesing. Poison knives. So hit any enemy 3 times, and these suckers will drain health pretty quickly. It's actually mentioned in their item description that most hunters don't use. Yeah, it is a repeating pistol. They don't use poison knives mainly because they are too slow to react. But that's okay. We've got all day for this guy. It is worth mentioning... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, since we just brought up the poison knives description, talking about how doctors are using it, being the that it's the same poison that shows up with the Ashen Blood is another thing that ties in the massacre at Byrgenwerth.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it heavily implies that the Ashen Blood poison is a healing church recipe.
Yes, I do remember that. That is a good point. Let's see. Come on, do some blood tinge. Oh. So, like I said, I usually just let him take care of business. It is worth noting that he is wearing Crow Hunter garb, which, as we know from Eileen, that they are Hunter of Hunters. So, anytime a hunter goes blood drunk, they are meant to go after any hunter. And so that's their job, is to weed those people out and give them a sky burial, which is, I guess, the only, like, not proper, but within good etiquette way to kill a hunter. And so this particular gentleman dons the garb of Canehurst, as you can see through his helmet. So that means he is more than likely a vile blood. Oh boy. I don't want to waste this. He's probably a vile blood, and he probably hunts people from the healing church, because that's what vile bloods are supposed to do, is because they are sworn enemies of the healing church. So it would only be natural that this particular person would be going after people of the healing church, and hunting down those kind of those hunters here. But then he went after Eileen, and we just can't have that. So this ought to do it. It's like Death Note. He died of a heart attack. So there you go, everybody. There's the cheese. Oh, and this is actually a really important rune. Isn't it great, Chan Man? Oh my gosh, I love that cheese. It's the best. It's so horrible, though. Okay, Blood Rapture, though. This is kind of interesting. That goes along with Canehurst that we'll talk about. Skipping to it, rune resonates with the servants of the Queen, carrier of the Child of Blood, which we'll talk more about in that episode. Who yearn for the Queen's blood with little hope of requitement for them. They find solace in the blood rapture that serves as a surrogate for their desire. And it's kind of mentioned that having blood hit your face is kind of where that blood rapture comes from. And I'm going to talk to Eileen one more time, and then I'm going to end the stream for tonight. So let's talk to Eileen real quick. Still proud.
Don't you ever listen to your elders?
Still proud.
No matter. You did save my life. I don't seem to be up for this life anymore. My glory days were long ago now. I know. Here. For you.
Eileen's being real nice and giving us the Crow Hunter badge and the Hunter emblem,
This too is
which
hunter's work,
I take full advantage of.
but it bears no honor. A burden you may choose to carry. The decision is yours alone. My eyes grow heavy. Let me rest a while. I'll be fine. Just wait.
So, we know now that Eileen is going to meet her passing. And that is the end of her quest line. It's, in my mind, one of the saddest of the game, just because I think Eileen is not only a capable warrior, but she is very proud. She gives hunters kind of a respect that they deserve by giving them, it's almost like a soldier's death. Like if you've ever played Bioshock Infinite, where Slate talks about how having an honorable death. And so that's kind of Eileen's stance on things. And so to see her die is just really, really sad. And you can kill her throughout kind of the journey as you meet with her. I always like to see that quest line through because I just think she's a wonderful character. And it is always my job now that Eileen, and to kind of put a good spin on this as this is the end of the stream, it is always my duty now to carry on Eileen's work by going to the Carol Runes and becoming a hunter of hunters. So Red Smudge Rune means hunter and has been adopted by those who've been taking the hunter of hunters. These watchmen admonish those who have become addicted with blood, be they men or beast. Anyone who has threatened their pledges with the hunter oath surely has an issue with blood. And more importantly, we have been given by the messengers a very important item, which is the Eye of the Blood Drunk Hunter. And it is a item that is a hunter that goes drunk with blood is said to be taken by the nightmare, destined to wander forever. It's an elaborate purgatory. Engaging it is an endless hunt. And that is going to be a very significant find towards the end game. And it is rumored that Eileen takes people to the Hunter's Nightmare. I don't believe that. I think they are actually dead in that case and don't have to suffer that purgatory because of Eileen. Now, funny thing is, if you don't run her quest line correctly, she'll actually be the person in the chapel that you fight. And I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. She has the coldest line in all of Bloodborne, which is after she kills you, goes, "Say hello to that little doll for me." Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So anyway, okay. Next episode, we are going to be getting into the truth behind the Healing Church and the School of Mensis. We are also going to be approaching a small little tidbit that we just saw in one of those items. We're going to descend away from the dream and into the nightmare. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Tocho, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And we will be back on next week, Tuesday. I hope you all have a great night, and we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.